Have you checked out all the new handicappers at Sports Memo? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily picks purchase using coupon code TRYMEMO. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to sportsmemo.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, pick a daily picks package, and use coupon code TRYMEMO at checkout, and save 50% off of your first purchase.
It is Thursday, May 13th. We are back right here on WagerTalk TV. I'm your host, Andrew McInnis, joined by Carmine Bianco and Bryan Leonard, his usual Thursday spot. Guys, I'll be honest, it's been such a great past 30, 40, 50 days for me that I'm pissed off. I'm in a bad mood. Woke up today. I was only down 2% last night, and I'm in a bad mood. I'm cranky about it. So it goes to show you can't get too excited about the good runs. There's going to be some, off days. And if those off days are only down, 2% ROI, I got to be able to take that. But feeling pretty good heading into today's games. We have 3 games to break down. Happy to have Bryan on the show. And we're going to talk a little bit of playoffs as well. My best bet will be a playoff series wager to give out on the show today, guys, because a couple weird games today on the slate. But without further ado, let's bring in the host of Stoppage Time and, of course, Puck Time with me, Carmine Bianco.
Andrew, I'm going to tell you this. You're never as bad as your worst day, and you're never as good as your best day. You just want to be somewhere in between that is above that profit line to make your clients money. Being down 2% is hardly something to complain about, but I get it. As far as I go, a winning day in soccer yesterday, a winning day in MLB, 6-1 with my MLB pays. Andrew, I'm coming after you, man, because you've been doing very well in baseball. I'm coming after your crown, my friend. And NHL, a 2-1 day. The only game that mushed one play, both for my clients, and I gave my client play, which was that parlay, as they show best bet, is those Toronto Maple Leafs. And just another reason for me to dislike that team. But with that said, it was still an overall profitable day in all 3 sports and for all access clients. So I'm happy about that. Let's bring in the man I look forward to seeing every Thursday, Bryan Leonard. Bri, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I appreciate that. And I'd heard a rumor that the Perez was on yesterday, and he was talking about almost turning pro. I didn't realize synchronized swimming, or you can get paid as a professional in that. So good for him. I didn't realize that. Especially, normally those people that do that are really long and lengthy, and we all know he's pretty stocky. I'll just leave it at
that. What an intro. What an intro, Bryan. I love it. I love it. I love it. The funny thing about Perez is that I actually knew that what is it, jiu-jitsu, Carm, or what actually is it that he was doing? It was some type of martial arts, wasn't it? Or taekwondo, or what was it?
I think taekwondo, or I don't know. He's kicking some banana tree or something like that in his backyard 18 hours a day or something like that. But he is very good athletically. I will give him that. He does play tennis. He told me he was a soccer player as well too. I'm not sure about that one. I have challenged him to tennis. He won't take me on, and I have a bad back, so it would be pretty easy to beat me right now. But in my heyday, when I was playing for my university team, he would have had a tough time beating me, I think. But we all age, and I have aged, so it's what it is.
Today's games, guys, we're talking Wild, Blues, Avs, Kings, and the Canucks take on the Flames, and probably the most meaningless game we've seen in a long time. We'll try and break that down, find a winner for you guys, maybe some player props as well. After we go through those 3 games, we will look at the Western Division, the playoff matchups between those teams, and break down what we thought about the division that was probably the most competitive division we saw, or at least from the top 2-3 perspective. The East Division was very competitive, but the West Division was a thing to watch. Every game was very exciting, and look forward to hearing these guys' takes on that division after we get through some of these games. But we're going to start off with the Wild and the Blues playing again here tonight. Carmine, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think the Wild are probably happy that they're not going to face the St. Louis Blues in the first round of the playoffs, because I actually think St. Louis has gotten into their heads over the last 4 or 5 times they faced them. The lone win over those, I think the last 4 times, was where the Wild made that frantic third period comeback from down 3-0 and I think won that game in overtime. But the Blues are playing that, sort of that defensive style hockey that propelled them to a Stanley Cup. I'm not saying they're the same team they were in that Stanley Cup run, but they are playing better. Everything's settled. The Blues are locked into fourth. The Wild are locked into third. The Wild are going to face likely Vegas in the first round if Colorado does what they're supposed to do tonight and beat the LA Kings. Colorado wins the division and will face host St. Louis in the first round, and the Wild will play Vegas in a game that there isn't sending messages. In a game, I'm going to make this very easy. In a game where it is completely meaningless, it's getting out of tonight's game fairly healthy. I don't think it's going to be a tight checking game. I bet the over last night the minute it came out because I knew the 5.5 would go to 6, and it is at 6 right now. So I feel confident with my bet at 5.5, and I would feel confident with 6. I think we're going to see some goals tonight.
Always nice to be able to get in there early, get the best number. Carmine did that with the 5.5. Brian, where are you going here?
I could see the over in this one, although you'd have to lay a little bit of juice with the 5.5. But I could see that going over. Made a lot of great points. Minnesota was embarrassed yesterday. St. Louis shut them out, and really Minnesota didn't play that badly. If you look at the advanced stats, and there's a couple sites I go to, actually Minnesota gave them everything they could, and they lost that game 4-0. Because they've lost 5 out of 7, I believe, on the season to St. Louis. I don't know if they'll play. Chances are they won't play in the next round. But if they do, I think Minnesota needs to get a victory here. St. Louis is in a situation where they got that satisfying victory yesterday. I would assume, because they've got Colorado coming up on deck for hopefully for themselves, a long series, they may be rested some people tonight, and some of the lesser players at the back end may be getting more minutes. Minnesota's 6-3 on the season in the second of a back-to-back situation. St. Louis is only 5-5. The need is more for Minnesota here, and Minnesota is favored. I prefer the Minnesota side here, but very much like Carmine said, I think it'll be a higher scoring game.
I think lots of credit goes to this Minnesota Wild team for their resilience throughout the season, for their ability to, when people thought they would slow down from some of these big winning streaks and people thought that they would, stop their scoring or not be able to come back late in games, they just kept on doing it, guys. They actually were talked down about for a long time. I think a lot of people didn't really buy into this team. And all of a sudden, they were just a few points back of Colorado. As I mentioned prior to the show, how competitive this division actually was. And, hate to disagree, but, the more I look at this game, the more, you use the term rest, Brian, and we're talking about that. And I understand, Carmine getting a better number with that 5.5, but we saw 4-0 last night, like we said. I've been using the theory that meaningless games or games that don't really mean anything, potentially for matchups or playoff implications, that kind of stuff, have, really seen games go over the total. But I've been using that for teams that are already out of the playoffs. For teams that are in the playoffs, they're not going to block shots. They're not going to have the best forecheck. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's going to be the focus will be on defense and not as much these highlight plays as we usually see. So, kind of like switching it from Carmine liking that 5.5. I think at the 6, the under could be a good look. Just based off the effort level I expect to see from both these teams offensively versus, righting the ship and, really working on things on the defensive side of things. But also wouldn't shock me to see some pond hockey out there. But I think both these teams, in order to be successful in the playoffs, especially if either of them end up playing or when they are playing a team like Vegas or Colorado, they are not going to win when it's a first game to 4 wins or first team to 5 wins. They are going to win games against Colorado or against Vegas if they can protect leads when they get it. So that's why I'd potentially look towards the under in this game, as much as it might be hard to do in a second game of a back-to-back. The Avalanche and the Kings. Brian, I want to start with you in this one. I feel kind of like a goof. I feel stupid. I mean, I didn't even play either of those big favorites on the puck line and regulation, a two-teamer. They weren't really involved in my client betting card last night, and they both dominated. We saw Carmine have a tweet yet last night talking about how, hey, there's some lopsided games going on tonight, and I wasn't involved with them. I was disappointed with that, but they got the job done. Both the Avalanche and the Knights really got it going, but tonight, the Avalanche are minus 450. Minus 450 in a game that means absolutely nothing. You have to wonder if we could see a sweet, sweet dog here, Brian.
Well, it doesn't mean nothing to Colorado. This is the game they've got to have. And yesterday, I'll play higher numbers, but I just couldn't do it. I liked Colorado. I liked Vegas. I thought both of them were going to win. I was pretty confident of that. But the line scared you off, especially in the Colorado game. Well, now I like Colorado even more. The line's gone up higher. It's a situation for me that the only way you can play this is Colorado. I'm a guy who looks for underdog value. And if you watched those games yesterday, you talk about pond hockey. I watched the entire Knights game. They were playing San Jose, their biggest rival, the team that kicked them out of the playoffs a couple of years ago with that 4-goal penalty on Eakin, which was ridiculous. And the teams didn't even get into a scuffle, let alone a fight. And that's something I have yet to see when we've played San Jose. We meaning Vegas. I'm sorry about that. But it was a situation where they were just trying to get the game over with. And I told my wife, I said, the Knights they're going to rest their best guys in the third period. But no, they were out there because they knew they weren't going to get hurt because nobody was checking. It was one of those situations, pond hockey all the way. And if the team that we played had any semblance of offense, they had, I believe, San Jose, they had 23-year-olds and under. They had like 9 guys on the team yesterday. They're just playing minor leaguers at this point. And I wouldn't surprise me if LA does that. Their season's over. They're playing at Colorado. If this was in LA, it would be a different thing. You don't want to embarrass yourself in front of the home fans. But on the road like this, the season's about to be over. It's Colorado and nothing. And Carmine had a nice bet yesterday. He laid the 1.5. I think it's a live betting thing. You lay the 1.5 in this game. When they take a lead, you lay 2. You do whatever you can to get on Colorado because I don't think the Kings have any interest in this game whatsoever.
Well, it's definitely a good point about playing the minor league players, like you said, Brian. This LA team and the San Jose team, like you said, were so many of these bottom teams. That's what's great for those young guys. They get their chance at the end of the year when, the better players and the top guys, they're out there. They're going to hurt themselves in games that might not mean something. And as much as you kind of hate to unravel it that way, it's true. It's a good chance to give the younger guys an opportunity to get out there. And yeah, I got to correct myself. I didn't really mean to say it's a meaningless game. I just mean that, let's be honest, it's pretty lopsided. That's kind of more so what I was trying to say here. We have a minus 425 on one side of things. But to go over the standings, the Vegas Golden Knights, obviously 56 games played, 40 wins, 14 losses, 82 points. Avalanche with 55 games played, of course, and 80 points. So this game definitely could mean something for them. But Carm, you dissected it yesterday. What are you going to say differently today?
I don't know if I can say anything differently. First off, I will say this, and before we get into this, I completely understood what you were saying by a meaningless game. It's meaningless, I think, in the sense of there is nothing we can tell you that could ever steer you towards the Kings in this game. When you're looking at it and everything that is involved in this game, you're either going to pass on the game or you've got to take the Avs and find different ways of not laying that juice, whether it's team totals, whether it's minus 1.5 or it's minus 2.5. You don't want to get out of hand because as far as the Avs are concerned, all they got to do is win the game. They're not concerned about covering your 2.5 spread at plus money or what have you. But they're 6-1 against the Kings, 5-1-1 to the under so far. Unfortunately, that game yesterday, if you had under 5.5, it's a little bad luck in a game where that ends in a shutout. that one team does score 6 goals. But, with that said, they played a complete game, outshot them 37-18. Win tonight, number 1 seed throughout the playoffs for as long as they last. So we'll see how that goes. And then as far as goalies, while Grubauer got the shutout last night, we're going to see different goalies tonight. We're going to see Johansson in net for Colorado. And the thing that's impressive is he's 4-1-1 with Colorado after that shaky start, where I think one of the games was a 5-4 game against Arizona, and yet his goals against average now is 2.23 with a save percentage of .907, in spite of the high-scoring games that he was the high-scoring game that he was involved in. He's got a low one and 4-1-1, so that's pretty good. And it's Grosenick for the Kings. He's 1-0 this season. He's only played one game, a 5-1 win against the Anaheim Ducks. The Colorado Avalanche have a little more firepower than the Anaheim Ducks do. So I'm going right back to the Avs again on the puck line. I talked yesterday about sometimes you feel uncomfortable about laying that 140, 145 VIG. But I think you got to do it here if you're taking the Avs. Give me the Avs on the puck line.
Avalanche on the puck line. And guys, before we move on to our next game, I just want to say, because I've talked to a few people in the hockey world about this, and a few of my buddies that have played pretty high level hockey. You want that home ice. You want to be in that high position. You want to win the award for the most winning team in the league throughout the season. But there has to be something said, and I know this is a betting show, guys, but there has to be something said about protecting players, about, how much does going out there tonight and giving it your 100% effort mean to you when you look back on this game tonight, 1 week from now, and you realize, man, I wish I had, one more day of icing my legs, or I wish I had one more day of watching film, or I wish I didn't take that cross check to the back in that meaningless game. So I just wanted to mention that, because I think that we have to read into the quotes from the locker room. We have to read into things. And the good thing and the benefit for this Colorado Avalanche team is that the majority of their all-star players, they're young. They're pretty young. They have a good captain in Landeskog. He's a veteran in this league, and a few vets down the lineup. But look at their decor. Look at their forwards. They're pretty young. So, I mean, I don't really expect them to slow down, but it's all going to be started from, the coaching staff, and see what their thoughts are. Because I'm curious to see how they come out and how they approach this game. Like I said, I know there's some implications here, but when it comes down to it, one game, might, separate. We saw Austin Matthews get banged up a little bit a couple nights ago, when there was no point in him being out there. And we saw Mike Smith last night. We saw him get injured a little bit when Koskinen should have been the goaltender. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens with the lineups. Carmine, I'm going to throw it to you with the Flames and the Canucks, two bottom teams in the North Division, but two teams I feel that will definitely play with some pride here.
This is one of those times where I would go, ugh, Andrew, who the heck put this game on our schedule? But I do the games, and there's only 3 games tonight, and we have to talk about this one, unfortunately. Before I talk about it, because I'm not going to have much to say about this game that is completely meaningless, I will mention one more time the NHL playoff promo that is up. I believe it's on Andrew's page as well, too. It definitely is on mine. He can fill me in on whether it is, but you can get every single play through the NHL playoffs and the Stanley Cup Finals for $199. And if you purchase that package, you email support@wagertalk.com, and they will give you a $100 coupon that you can use on any 30-day or longer package. So you're essentially getting the NHL playoffs for $99, which is a great deal. And that gets you into the draw to win. If you're buying Andrew or I's NHL packages, I'm going to do the giveaway for a retro jersey. I will do the first one, which is no purchase necessary kind of thing, next week for all the guys that have been watching here and following us on our Puck Time Twitter account. I will do one next week and give away the first jersey, and then I'll do the second one shortly after. So with that said, let's go to this game here. I'm going to make this easy, Andrew. Completely meaningless game. If it's Markstrom in net tonight for the Flames, who I think it is, he'll probably want to end his season. He's going to want to beat the Canucks, his former team. This game's not going to go to overtime. I can't see it going to overtime. These teams want to get this done in 60 minutes. They want their season to end tonight. Unfortunately, they're still going to have to play a couple more games. Give me the Flames in regulation time, -115.
Hey, Carm, you ever see that the Simpsons GIF on Twitter where it's like, stop, he's already dead? That's kind of what I feel like with this game right here. I mean, these teams, they're already dead. Like, let's not play any more hockey, you know? But when we approach this game, throw in the white towel. When we look at this game, I think that the term meaningless obviously works there, but I think that, Brian, the factor that Carmine just listed is actually huge to me. You know, I think a guy playing against his former team, a team that underachieved all year, a team that, you know, had some players that had long goal droughts. The Flames are a lot better than they performed this year. I just feel like they don't have enough of everything. They don't have enough grit. They don't have enough size. They have too many small guys that can shoot, and that's about it. And I think that the Vancouver Canucks, they got their win against the Winnipeg Jets, and the following game they lost 5-0. That win against the Winnipeg Jets might be it for them. To me, that might be, congratulations, guys. We got our last win of the season. I think the Flames, despite the big price here, Brian, I think that they're the play here. I think Markstrom plays well. I think the Flames want to end their season off here on a good note.
This is interesting because I'm looking at it a totally different way. Calgary was fighting for the last how many weeks to try to make the playoffs. I don't know if you can call it fighting when you need to win these games and you don't win them. Now they're in a situation where their season's over. They can take a breath. What difference does it make if they win this game or not? Vancouver, on the other hand, hasn't played nearly as many games because of the COVID situation. I think they come out this game off that embarrassing loss to Winnipeg, and I had Winnipeg in that one. I think they come out and play a really good game here. If you take a look at the season date standings, Calgary's a better team, and Calgary still sucks. It's a situation where I don't trust Calgary, and the lines are telling you that Calgary is not the right side. This line opened up at Calgary 185. Bookmaker, the biggest sports book in the world right now, is down to 150. Money's coming in on Vancouver. These two teams right now are pretty even. And if I can get plus 130, in fact, I see places where I can get up to 140 out in this area, I'll take Vancouver here. Two bad teams, and it's the end of the season. Obviously, they've still got time to play. But Vancouver is going to come out and play a better game than you guys are giving them credit for. And it wouldn't surprise me if Calgary lays down here. I prefer the other side, which is rare that I don't agree with you guys. So this is going to be an interesting outcome in this one.
Brian,
well, you've had a great season, Brian, so can't argue it.
Yeah, I'm going to cut in quickly here. It's not going to be on my betting card if I was going to take someone, as I said, because I don't want to pass on a game that we're trying to preview. But I would take the Flames in regulation time here. But this isn't on my betting card. I'll be watching the Avs game and probably live betting that one. Some of these games are just that you just want to pull your eyeballs out. Back to you, Andrew.
I was going to say pull your hair out, but he didn't have that ability.
Yeah, I got none of that.
You were close to saying it though, weren't you, Carm? I think you were close to saying it.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I was going to say my eyebrows out. That's the only hair I have left, man.
Oh man, I still can't believe they called you Mr. Clean on WagerTalk today. The disrespect. Oh my goodness, Carm. I would never call you that. No, never.
That was actually they put the they did put Dave Sherapan's name on the Mr. Clean picture there. So I was good with that.
They're making you guys brothers. Look,
yes.
Brian, I want to start with you, and we're not going to go over exact prices and stuff like that, but I just like to do, it's the end of the year. It's kind of like reflection time. Just reflect back on that Western Division, what you thought about it. How about the bottom tier teams all the way to the top, the battle, the Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights all year long. What are your thoughts here on what we've seen from this division and what we're thinking the outcome might be?
I've been impressed by this division. Now, obviously, you have to take it with a grain of salt because you're only playing the teams that are in your division, and we all know that San Jose wasn't very good. Anaheim may be the worst team in the league. But you have a Colorado team that battled through injuries all year long. And now they've got themselves in a position tonight where they can not only win this division, they can have the best record in hockey. That's been very impressive for Colorado. For the Golden Knights, they've also been very impressive. I believe their longest losing streak on the season was 3 games. This has been a team that has played very well, and they too have had some problems with a lot of injuries, which a lot of teams do, so I'm not going to use that as an excuse. But they've been very good, and they have beaten the teams they needed to beat. They beat San Jose yesterday. I believe they won all 9 games against San Jose. And one of the things when you're handicapping these games, of course, you want to see how they do against the better teams on the schedule, but you want to make sure they don't have those letdowns against the weaker teams. And the Vegas Golden Knights, for the most part, did not have those letdowns as a season. Mm-hmm. They did have a couple that I remember, but for the most part, they come out and played every day. I was really impressed by Minnesota this season. A lot of speed on that team. It's going to be an interesting series with Vegas and Minnesota if Colorado wins tonight. I'm looking to play the underdog there if I can get a nice price. And St. Louis is another team that was left for dead. And then they came back and showed that they can beat anybody at any time. So very excited to watch this series is coming out of the West, and I think 2 out of the best 3 teams in hockey are in this division. We'll see what happens, but it would not totally surprise me if Minnesota comes out of here. They're only like plus 650 to win this division, so the lines makers think they've got a chance. The Blues 750, and they're the 4th place team. So anything can happen in this division, as all teams are quality, in my opinion.
Great stuff there, Brian. I'm right there with you. An unbelievable division. And, we had this discussion with Dave Koken, and I think it got kind of misinterpreted when the 3 of us were kind of going back and forth about this. But like you said, the 3 teams, could be the 3 best teams in the league. And it's just unfortunate the way that works, that, just one of those teams has to leave that division, right? And one of those teams has to, come out of it. I think the 3rd best team in this division is probably better than the 1st place team in the North Division. But hey, that's for a whole different show, and I'm sure the commenters will love that. But look, the Minnesota Wild have been super impressive because 2 reasons. Number one, the young guys have impressed, but not just impressed, consistently. Kaprizov waited patiently from the Euro Leagues, came over to play the Minnesota Wild. He wasn't just a guy that performed every couple games. Every single night, this guy was making impactful plays. Then we look at their goaltending, and their goaltending was there on a night in, night out basis. I mean, although they were a relatively big over team, it does not mean your goaltender was bad. And I think that people are going to misinterpret that. And I think that their goaltending was good. They made some huge saves. When you play the style of hockey the Minnesota Wild play, and I think they're a lot faster than some handicappers give them credit for, you're going to have some odd man rushes coming against you the other way. And their goaltending stood out for them big time. They deserve to be exactly where they are. Look at a St. Louis Blues team. If you remember when they won the Stanley Cup, guys, they literally were in last place in January and ended up, making that surge to the playoffs and coming through with a cup. They've kind of got hot at the right time. They've picked up. They weren't healthy at all to start the year off. They're healthy now. But the biggest thing I got to say, like Brian said, I'll echo it. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche, they beat the teams they had to. When they were like over a $2 favorite, they won. When they were minus 250, they won those games. You look over at the North Division, the one that I follow and Carmine quite a bit here in Canada. We saw some upsets. When Toronto lost to Ottawa, or Edmonton losing to Calgary or Montreal. We didn't really see that as much in the West Division, and that's a lot of credit goes towards the Avalanche and the Knights. Your thoughts, Carmine?
Yeah, you guys are making some great points. Listen, I'm excited about the NHL playoffs, and I know that I did when I made a statement about the 1-16, and Koken got on me on that one. All I was trying to make a point of is it would be great if the NHL had a I'm old school, the old 1-16, but this is when you were playing everybody in the division, and then you seeded everyone 1-16. One played 16, two places played 15, and then we went to this East and West stuff or whatever. If they went to 1-16, Andrew, your Montreal Canadiens would be on the outside looking in with 59 points, because the Dallas Stars and New York Rangers, who did not make the playoffs, finished with more points than Montreal did this season. But again, it's I'll call them unbalanced schedules. Even though they all played 50.
That big word,
yes,
Carm.
if ifs and buts were candies and nuts. I know it. It's an old rhyme. But with that said, it's an unbalanced schedule, not in the sense of 56 games, but a lot of these divisions, you're playing some teams that aren't as good as the lower teams in other divisions. It's just the way it shakes out, and we have to accept it. It's a realignment during pandemic times. With that said, Vegas played Colorado extremely tough, and they only had 15 skaters. And when they play with a short bench, they're 3-5-1 now. Vegas, they'll have a full bench should they meet the Avalanche in the conference finals, or not the conference finals, division finals, if they make it there. And this is a very good Vegas team. I watched that game, even with 15 skaters, 5 defensemen, they were shutting down the Avs, giving them absolutely nothing. Terry, I hate to say it, and any Blues fans hate to say it, I really want to see the Avs and the Golden Knights in that division final, because that'll be a series to watch, Andrew.
It's going to be unbelievable. I cannot wait. Tomorrow we'll break down the North Division. We'll have Prez back on the show, and we'll get to hear about how he thinks the Leafs will win the Stanley Cup again for the 5th straight year. But other than that, let's get into some promos. Let's get into some best bets. Let's get into the packages we do have up. And in all seriousness, guys, it'll be a fun show tomorrow. We'll break down every team, our thoughts from the North Division. Prez knows I'm just getting my jabs in. All of you guys out there watching, you guys should know it's all in good fun as well. But Brian, I'll start with you. What do you have up today? What other shows are you potentially on? What's going on in your world?
Yeah, I'll be doing the baseball show today. Be filling in for Marco D'Angelo. He's doing a big show for the races. He's a big horse guy, owns horses, so he's going to be spending his day doing that. So I'm filling in with him today with Dave Koken, and tomorrow with Dave Koken on the baseball show. And I always love working with Dave. He's the most knowledgeable guy in baseball that I've personally ever met. And if he knows more than I do, he's working his ass off, because baseball's my sport. And I do have plays coming up. I haven't put up anything yet because of the early hour, but I'm going to have baseball. I've got one hockey play. Don't buy that. You'll be getting that today as my free play. And we will get back to that right now. And I'll take Minnesota. Minnesota minus 110, 115. We talked about it earlier, so I won't elaborate. But if you don't want to lay and you want to get a plus price back, you can combine them with the Colorado Avalanche. You get a plus 130. That's what I did. I played Minnesota and Colorado in the parlay, plus 130, but minus the 110, minus 115 is fine with me. And let's look forward to another winning night in hockey, and let's get the playoffs rolling.
Minnesota on the money line. Let's get the playoffs rolling, Brian. I can't wait. I mean, these games are okay. I still like watching hockey. I'm still a hockey fan, but I cannot wait until the playoffs. And man, I wish there was fans packed in every stadium, not just a few, but it's going to be awesome. Always great having you on the show, Brian. Enjoy your show later on First Pitch. I'll go ahead with my best bet. I'm going to go with a serious wager, and I'm going to go ahead with the Pittsburgh Penguins over the New York Islanders. I think that you look at this price here, and if you break down looking at it, you can really see, I mean, minus 145 for Penguins, plus 125 for the Islanders. That's at circa. I just wanted to, mention those odds and where I'm getting those from. But the Islanders are a team that for many years I loved going into the playoffs, because I believe the playoffs is a whole new beast versus the regular season. But they just haven't looked like they can score. They collapse late in games, and that wasn't really their MO for the past 2 years. This year it seems to be that. The Penguins, they started the year off winning, but they were going over the total a lot and playing sloppy defense. They closed out the year, I think, on a strong defensive note, and I feel like they'll get the job done in that series. As far as packages tonight, guys, I have one MLB best bet going up. The run is 37-13. It's been an unbelievable MLB run. That's 37-13 All sports clients over the last 30 days are up over $8,000. It's been an unbelievable run, so hoping to keep that going tonight. Carm, what's your best bet, man?
All right, I'm just going to say, Andrew, beware the ghost of Trotz. He's a good coach in the playoffs. But with that said, and I like Brian's play tonight. The Minnesota Wild have only been shut out 3 times this season, and they've won every game following it. It's the final game of the season, and I probably will take the Wild tonight. I will have my show best bet in a second. Guys, I know some of you guys are asking in the chat about our schedule during the playoffs. We are still doing a Puck Time. Follow us on Twitter, the Puck Time WT account, and the WagerTalk account, as we'll have more information on the shows for next week. But because the schedule is not out yet, we are going, when we do the shows, it'll be a 2-man format, Andrew and I, and we'll and on the busy nights where there's 3 games or more, we will bring in a guest. Brian will be one of them. Of course, because he's done so phenomenal on the show. Love having him. And then we'll talk to the other guys and see who we can get out, because it's going to be an unbalanced week of games. So follow us on Twitter to find out when the shows are. I don't believe there's a game on Monday, so there's likely no Puck Time show on Monday. My best bet for the show, and I have 2 plays up in NHL tonight, 2 in soccer this afternoon on a fantastic roll profit-wise. So get on board with a 7-day all access. And you can use code ST40 to get $40 off of that. I'm going to go right back to the Wild Blue game. I expect goals in this game, so I'm going to go to the first period total of over 1.5 goals in the first period, minus 130. Let's see if the Wild come out tonight the way we expect them to come out, and let's get some goals early in this one. Thanks for tuning in, guys, during the regular season. Really appreciate it. We're going to have one final regular season show tomorrow with the Prez on, but we love having you here. Andrew, take us home.
The power plays are on the screen, guys. Wild minus 115 for Bryan. Carmine have the Wild and Blues. First period over 1.5. And you heard Carm say it. I understand with how great this Islanders team can be in the playoffs, Carm. I get it. But give me the Penguins to win that series. And right there wrong from last year after the Canadians defeated them. But it's always a pleasure doing this show with you guys. For Carmine, for Bryan, I'm Andrew. We'll see you guys tomorrow right here on Puck Time.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.